Hey tubers. Wow, it's bright out here today. Listen, I got the trailer here, and you know what you're seeing. Let me get back where you got some perspective here, alright? Okay, here. What we've got is a carry-on 6x10 trailer, and the problem I've got with it is that when I'm towing, the ass end's a little low. I tow off the bumper. In fact, you can kind of see the angle it's sitting at right now from the ground. The front's up, the back's down. That's the angle it tows at. I'd like it to be flat. So what we've got here is, let me get it in the shade here. Maybe that'll make it easier to see. I don't know. There you go. What you've got here is the hub and the leaf spring and the axle. And right now the axle is inside of the leaf spring. And what I want to do is take the axle here and put it under the leaf spring. Now you've got this bracket, and that keeps the axle from rolling and centered and all kinds of other stuff. You can't just take it out, flip it over, and then stuff it up on the bottom, because your axle, if you look down it, yeah, I can even see it nice and clear. I hope the camera shows it. It's bent. They've all got a little bit of rise in them. That way when the weight goes on, they flatten out. It's just how they're designed. If you flip them over, the tires don't roll right. So I've ordered a kit from eTrailer that has basically got this bracket for the top and some bolts to keep it from, anyways, it's a setup. But in order to use it, what the hell? Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I've ordered from eTrailer a different kind of carrying setup that will allow me to take the axle, put it on the bottom. It'll have another one of these plates for the top, but it'll be a no weld setup. So what I'm doing right now is I've sprayed everything with penetrating oil. Got the trailer, of course, jacked up safely. It's on blocks and jack stands and protection stands, so hopefully it won't fall. But I'm gonna take this off the trailer, take it all apart, and then I'll just be ready to dummy it up and put it back together. Alright, well, you know, we'll see how this works, and if this gives me the extra trailer height I'm looking for. It should flatten out the ride tremendously. I mean, it's hard to tell on camera, but it's got a fair amount of 3 or 4 inch downslope in the back, and by lifting that axle, I'll do it. Really, it's a straightforward thing. We got 4 bolts on the bottom, 5, hopefully 6 bolts, and it's free. And if I can figure out how to just like drop one side and unbolt 4, I might just do that. That might be the down and dirty way. Just unbolt the front and unbolt these 4. That's what I'm going to try. All right. That's the project. Well, I got the kit in the mail today. They mailed it to me. And inside are the, you know, the, what do they call them? They hold the shock absorber clamps in place. And basically these sit on your axle, and inside there's 4 of these nuts. And when you screw the nut on, here, let me just hold it over here where you can see. After this comes off, this will sit on the top. And these silver nuts right here will screw on and actually be the spacer that keeps this from doing this stuff, one on front, one on the back. Then when your spring sits up on the top and everything's bolted down, it ain't going nowhere. So that's the setup, and because I don't have a welder, can't weld whatever, I've decided I'm just going to use red Loctite. And then if I ever come across somebody with a welder, I can have them tag it for me. But Yeah, I'm going to use red Loctite. And of course, get it all figured out, measured up before I do this. All right, listen, this is real simple. It's a, what is it, a 1-inch, half-inch drive here is what I had to use. And on this one, I'm using deep well 3/4. So that's the 2 sockets. Get this whole thing apart. I've got it already loosened. This should be pretty easy. Okay, here's a quick tip. I've got to knock this bolt out. Before you unscrew it completely, leave the nut on, hit the nut, that way you don't jam up the threads, and you'll be able to get the bolt free without marring your threads up. Well, I'm ready. These are the pieces. They're Loctited. They sit real solid on there. They don't wobble back and forth. They're exactly 2 5/8 strong. So the measurements are the same. I feel good about this. Now, with this kit, you got the U-bolts, but the truth is, the factory U-bolts are thicker and heavier. They've got nylon nuts instead of just regular nuts. And even the plate. Now, the one they sent me has got bends, so maybe that, you know, gives it some kind of rigidity. But in overall thickness, heaviness, the one that came on the trailer is heavier. That's what I'm using. Okay, and it's just a matter of slipping this on in here and bolting it up. See, it just sits like that. Then you put on your plate on the top, slip on your friggin' U-bolts, 1, 2, and dummy it up, and then bolt it up. Real simple. Man, the job is done except putting the wheels on. Listen, let me show you what's left of the kit that I didn't use. Didn't use their top brackets, didn't use their U-bolts, and their nuts are just regular nuts without even a lock washer. So I passed on that and I just used their spacers. As you can see in here, I spaced them out, and it's got the little bit of Loctite to hold them. Those babies are solid. They don't wiggle. And if you look across, you can actually see the bend in the axle. And that's up just like it was before. Like I said, all I've done is flip the axle from inside the spring to under the spring. Now, in the instructions for this kit, they warn you to put some kind of a spacer in here so your springs don't over travel and break. But I don't plan on loading her up that heavy. And wow, this looks nice. Like I said, all I gotta do is slap the tires on it and I'm done. And what you're looking at along here, this nasty caulk, is just me using some old tub and tile caulk to fill in where the metal is kind of warping a little along the edge of the frame, just to keep water and shit out. Looks good though. Man, this trailer now is right. I'll show it to you one last time when it's hooked up to the trailer to see how, or to the truck, to see how flat it rides. But I'm very satisfied with this this swap. Well, there it is, a done deal. As you can see, it's running pretty close to flat. And I've taken it out for a test tow. It works really nice. But I think the most amazing thing that I've noticed about this whole repair is that in the past, right where the tongue would sit on the ball, it had a big back angle, you know, going down. And because of that, it was always rubbing in different spots just when you're making your turns and things on the trailer and or on the bumper. I never noticed it much, or you know, made much note of it. But now, as you can see, man, there's actually a space there. It's riding on the ball instead of kind of rubbing against the lower part of the bumper here when it does things. It tows easier. It just, I was surprised. I thought when I raised the back, the change in this front angle to be more straight, wind resistance, I don't know, but this is a much better setup, a better tow. And if you look here, You can actually see where the axle has still got its upward bend. There's those spacer nuts that we just installed. I installed, I should say. The other one's right over here. But by doing this, the axle stays in its correct orientation, and it's a done deal. This was really simple. 50 bucks. See, I always toe off the bumper. Why buy a hitch? But the trailers always seem to drag in the back, and oh, something else. I mean, I've picked up 5 or 6 inches at the axle. I've literally doubled the amount of ground clearance I've got on the back end. It's got to be close to 24 inches now, where it was around a foot before. So for 50 bucks for the part and shipping, well, 52 or something, and then I spent another $8 or $10 for Loctite, so let's call it $65. Got this done, wrenching time, couple hours. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, well, I'm very satisfied with this this adjustment that I've made to the trailer. Yeah, because now you can actually, I mean, if you were going to use it to sleep and do things, it's running flat or close to damn flat.